Hey there, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a book haul. I've hauled in a few more books and I'm very excited to tell you about them. So let's get right down to the books that have recently joined my shelves. So we are starting with my most anticipated read of 2024. I'm so excited and so thankful to the publisher for sending me a copy of Little Roth by Akwaeke, Emezi. I'll show you the back of it because that kind of has a bit more of what the cover brings you. I am so excited to read this, and in this one it's set over the course of a weekend. We're following 3 different characters, I believe, and they are going to be uprooting and changing their lives. I have to admit, the synopsis does not give me much, but you know what gives me a lot? Akwaeke Emezi's writing. Every single time this person brings it to the table with any genre that they choose to write. So I am fully trusting that I'm in safe hands. I was also equally made a very happy reader by the publisher sending me a copy of Immortal Dark by Tigest, Girma. So this one is a proof, an advanced copy of a book that is Black Vampires. Black vampires in a young adult novel. That is all I really needed to know to be able to get behind it, but I will tell you a bit more about the synopses. In this one, our main character is fiercely loyal to the people that she loves, and she's quite nihilistic as well. And when her sister goes missing, she believes that she has been kidnapped and is being hidden within the University of Uxley, which is like a secret society university for vampires. And so she's going to go there and try and find and rescue her sister. I'm so excited for this book, you cannot believe it, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I was also sent a copy of More Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. This is the second book to the Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. I haven't read that one yet, but this is the sequel, and so I have not read the synopsis because I need to read book 1 first. So I'm looking forward to reading them both. They sound like the cozy translated literary fiction type that I tend to really enjoy reading. So I also discovered at work that there is a free little library within my office, which is very dangerous for me to discover, but also fantastic for me to discover because I'm often unhauling proofs and I can only take those to free little libraries. So I dropped off 3 proofs and I felt only fair that I take 3 books from there, and I chose 3 books that were on my TBR wish list, so I feel very happy that I managed to find them there. And one of those books is What White People Can Do Next by Emma Dabiri. This is the last of Emma Dabiri's works that I need to read. I've read everything that she's written so far other than this, and for a long time I wasn't sure about whether or not to read this because it clearly is stating that this is for white people, and I am not a white person, but I still think maybe there's something I can take away from this. Emma Dabiri manages to be very inclusive in the ways that she talks about race and what we can be doing better to be anti-racist. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what she advises other people do. I also picked up a copy of Women, Race and Class by Angela Y. Davis. I've read some of Angela Y. Davis's essays before, but I've never actually read a complete work by her before, and I just know that she talks really wisely on prison abolishment, women, classism, racism, and so this non-fiction book will be all about that, and I'm looking forward to getting some of the insights that I know that she shares in this. I went to an event for a very different book, but in that goodie bag it was also included A Sorceress Comes to Call by Kingfisher, and I've heard that this is a Goose Girl retelling, and it has a lot to do with this young person who is going to be married off, but her mother is evil, and the man that she's supposed to be married off to is going to be manipulated into this marriage, and so she's trying to stop her mother. And that is what I've understood from the synopses. I've read Kingfisher before, I've really enjoyed her works, and so when I saw this in the goodie bag I was very happy to discover it in there. So I've shown this before because they sent me a proof, but Sourcebooks was really lovely and they sent me a finished copy of For Real by Alexis Hall. So I love Alexis Hall. I have a guide to all of their books that you can watch. I'll leave a link to that down below. And this is my favourite Alexis Hall book. And it's out now. And I am just so happy that people get to discover it with its new cover because it was originally indie published back when I read it, and now it's being traditionally published. And I'm very happy that they sent me a finished copy because while I did reread the proof, In the finished copy at the back there is a bonus short story called In Vino, and this is a short story that I wanted to read, used to be on Alexis Hall's website but then no longer was by the time that I clued into the fact that it was there. So knowing that there's a bonus short story for me to read in the back of this is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to when I get the chance to read that short story. I also have a copy of When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This is a novella that she has written, and I read and really loved the Divergent trilogy back when I was a teenager when it was publishing gradually, and then I read 4, which is the short story collection that goes with it, many years later, and I still really enjoyed it, which means I do still enjoy Veronica Roth's writing. Now from what I understand, this is a Slavic fantasy, and so I'm looking forward to just getting into something beyond the Divergent world, and I think a novella is a very good place to start, although I do have Poster Girl somewhere on my shelves behind me, so I've got 2 of her books now that I can look forward to reading. Look at these! So I end up getting gift cards quite a bit because it's really hard to buy for a book lover who has a lot of books. You're always worried about getting duplicate books. So I had a £100 gift card and I got given another £100 gift card, and I was thinking it's ridiculous to have £200 a gift card. I'm trying not to buy too many books, but I was like, I need to spend one of them. So I did. I bought £100 worth of Sarah Simone books. If you've been watching me on this channel recently, you'll know that I've fallen in love with Sarah Simone's works. I just love her writing. I love her romance books. They are ticking all of the boxes for me, and I'm having a jolly good time. And I have decided I'm just going to steadily read my way through everything she's ever published. And sis has published a lot. She has published a lot of books in the 9 years that she's been indie publishing. So I got a whole load of them, some of which I've already read. So I got Forbidden Trinity by Sarah Simone. I have read this in its completion already, and this is a bind up of 3 of her shorter novels. They're about 250 pages long each. They are Misadventures with a Professor, Misadventures of a Curvy Girl, and also Misadventures in Blue. And my ratings for those were 3-star, 5-star, 4-star, I believe. So I did have a very good time reading those collections, and I'm very glad that I own it physically because I have already reread them multiple times and I will continue to reread them in physical form. I then got 4 books in a series. I think this is one of the, there's also the Christmas series, which I'm trying to save to Christmas, but this is the second last series of Sarah Simone's that I need to read and couldn't get anywhere else. So I have A Lesson in Thorns, Harvest of Sighs, Feast of Sparks, and Door of Bruises. They may be in the wrong order, but I'm very happy to add them to my collection and to add them to my TBR. I'm very much looking forward to reading these books. I think they're going to be great because I know that they have got sapphic representation in some of them, and I've read a book that connects this series to the American Queen series as like a continuation. So all set in the same universe. Very much looking forward to this. What I saw as the taste tester was very, very good. Then I'm going to go to Salt in the Wound by Sarah Simone. I've already read this one. This is the prequel to Salt Kiss within the Lioness trilogy. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely adored it, and it is even better than Salt Kiss, which is the first one in a series. I wondered why she published the prequel before book 2, but once you read this as a prequel, you completely understand why. It's so good. I also got American Squire by Sarah Simone. This is a very short novella. I have already read this. It's kind of the last thing you want to read in the American Queen series, which is quite long. You've got to read the original trilogy, and then there's some shorts that you can read, and then there is this. This should be the last book, and this is the one that connects the Lioness trilogy and the American Queen series and starts off the A Lesson in Thorns series. So it's a great way of like wrapping them all into the same universe. It made me so happy. I gave it 5 stars. I've already reread it since. Then we've got Cards of Love by Sarah Simone. This is the last book in the American Queen series for me to read. It's a short story novella that is about Merlin and Merlin's romance. So I think I'm kind of putting this off because once I read it, I know there is no new material for me to read in the American Queen series whatsoever, which is one of my all-time favorite series now. but I'm very much looking to see what Merlin gets up to in his romantic journey. And then last but not least for Sarah Simone, I have The Fae Queen's Captive, which is just one of the novels that she has written. It's a standalone, it's got to do with Fae. I don't particularly love Fae books, but if Sarah Simone writes it, I will definitely read it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she handles a book about Fae. But moving on to some books that are not Sarah Simone. From the Free Little Library, the third book I picked up was Stay True by Hua Hsu. This is a memoir. That's all I remember about it. It's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. This is about his friendship with his dorm mate, and he and his dorm mate do not get along in the beginning. They do not seem eye to eye. The only thing that they have in common is that they are both East Asian and they are both struggling to fit in with American culture. And slowly they start to form a friendship when all of a sudden Ken is in a carjacking and abruptly dies. So it's going to deal with friendship, and it's going to deal with grief, and it's all true because it's a memoir, and that I understand why I added it to my wish list, because that absolutely sounds like the type of thing that I would read. I'm very interested in books that explore grief, and I very much like books that focus on friendship and identity, and it seems like cultural identity has a role to play in this as well. So this really sounds like an Olivia Savannah book. I'm not going to speak on this one for too long because I was also sent the proof and I've pulled that in before, but this is a finished copy of Spitting Gold by Carmella Lowkis, and this is like an adult book about these two siblings who are kind of estranged from each other, but they meet up together to do one last con where they're trying to take a lot of money from a wealthy family, and it's about how that goes. I believe it's historical fantasy, it's queer, and it sounds like it's a lot of fun. I was also sent by the publisher the sequel, which is The Beast of Farrowfell by Ravena Guron. So last year I read the first book in the series, which was The Thief of Farrowfell. It's a middle grade series that's fantasy, and it's about edible magic, and it's from the point of view of this villain family in the first book. And so I haven't actually read the synopsis for the second book. I just want to dive in and see where it takes me, but I really liked the first one. I highly recommend it. It grew on me so much over my reading experience of it. I'm looking forward to continuing the series and seeing where it takes me next. So for this, I can't read the whole title, but it's Here Lies a Vengeful, and that is by Codie Crowley, and this one just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I do love a good young adult murder mystery, but it sounds like a young adult murder mystery with some supernatural horror elements to it as well. So in this one, this young teenager is murdered, but what the murderer doesn't realize is that they bury her body on ground which is well known for raising the dead, and so she's brought back to life again, and she wants to get revenge on the person who murdered her. However, she doesn't quite remember who did it, so she has to investigate and find out who her murderer is. But she's been raised from the dead, and that just sounds like it's so much fun. And lately I've been in the mood for books that are just a laugh, like enjoyable and maybe touch on some deeper things, but are also really good. And as I said, young adult thrillers tend to tick boxes for me. The first, Bad Man by Miranda July. I believe my recent reads wrap up where I talk about how much I love All Fours by Miranda July has already gone live, and that is Miranda July's latest novel, but this was her debut novel, and after loving All Fours as much as I did, I really wanted to read more of her works, so thank you very much to Canongate for sending me the first one of hers. And this doesn't even have a synopsis on it, but I believe it's just going to be as strange, as weird, but also as poignant as Miranda July's novel All Fours was as well. I was sent this in proof, so I'm just going to briefly touch on it here, and that is The Love Interest by Helen Cumerford. This is a young adult novel set in a world where superheroes exist, and because of this new superhero that comes to town and how she meets him by tripping over and falling into his arms and being the first person that he saves, our main character is cast as his love interest, which she really doesn't want to be. She does not want to play a role in the narrative around superheroes. But when she discovers that the superhero corporation will probably know something about her mother, she decides she's going to play the part of the love interest to be able to secretly on the side dig deeper into the company and maybe find out more information about her mother. It sounds like such a cool concept, which is what I said last time. It just sounds so unique, and therefore I'm really looking forward to seeing what it can bring to the table with such a fun concept. So the next one we have is a romance. I feel like I didn't haul much romance yet. Oh, I hauled all the Sarah Simone. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yes, we have Savor It by Tara Do It. I've never read Tara Do It before, so this will be my first one of hers. And it just sounds like a really fun, sweet read. We've got our main character, and she has gone through a breakup with her ex, and they were together for 4 years, and when she sees that a previous ex of hers has recently got engaged, she decides she just needs a change of scene. So she enters into a competition, and she needs a partner for it, and maybe the partner is going to be the guy next door, who she doesn't know is grieving for his dead sister, and also is someone who's a big city guy, but he's had to move back to the small town as everything has kind of gone wrong with his Michelin star restaurants. They end up pairing together, and I think a romance is going to ensue. It's got small town vibes, it's got the cooking competition and boy next door, so sounds like it'll be very, very sweet. Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao, and this one is translated fiction, and it's about this pawn shop that will only appear to people who are very desperate and who really, really need to find it, because you can pawn your memories, so you'll forget them and you'll get something in exchange for that. And we are following the person who runs that pawn shop, and one day the pawn shop is attacked and a precious item is stolen, and she ends up having to pair up with somebody that she doesn't know too well to kind of travel and find this mysterious item. And along the way of her journey of doing that, she discovers a lot more about herself. So I've really been enjoying translated literature lately and everything that it can bring, and while this one does seem to have some of those like mystically cozy elements that we are getting from translated literature, it also sounds like it has higher stakes because the owner has to go on a journey themselves. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this one will hold. And then last but not least for this haul, the last book in the Kanage Influencer event goodie bag was Monumenta by Laura Harworth. And this one is a novella, so it shouldn't take me too long either, and it's set in Serbia. It's about grief from what I understand from the event, and it's about this like house and the history that it has within it, and these siblings that are dealing with the grief that they're feeling for their parents. It sounded lovely from the way the author described it, and we all know how I feel about books with grief. I eat them for breakfast, and so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go, and the fact that it's a novella helps as well. And there you have it. Those are all of the books that I recently hauled in. Please let me know in the comment section down below what was the last book you bought, borrowed, acquired or received. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!